I'm gonna make something that is super quick and easy and super healthy, and is kind of a mainstay in Japanese, like summertime cuisine. So we're gonna make what's called rei-shabu. You can call it rei-shabu if you can't do that LR combination. Shabu is cold shabu, and shabu, as you know, is short for shabu-shabu. And so what we're making is a summertime version of something that's usually a fall or winter dish, which is shabu-shabu, which is Japanese hot pot. So Korean or Chinese hot pots will have, like, your regular broth and like a super spicy broth. Japanese shabu-shabu doesn't usually have like a spicy option, although a lot of American shabu-shabu restaurants seem to have added that for the people who love their broths a little on the spicy side, but traditionally that's not how it's done in Japan. So and you've also seen me use like these like thinly shaved meats in the past, but it's been beef up until now. Today we're actually going to use thinly sliced pork, which is perfect for rei-shabu, which is cold shabu. So getting started, I already have a pot of water going. I've got a knob of ginger in there, and then I'm going to add a couple of other ingredients just to soften the pork when I actually add it to the hot water. So what is kind of a regular mainstay is just sake. So 1 tablespoon of that. Ooh, goes in there. And then we also add 1 tablespoon of sugar. Now we're not making a sweet dish. I'm not trying to sweeten the water. What we're trying to do is just add a little bit of sugar to the boiling water, and what happens is when the pork goes in, the pork doesn't seize up. The sugar actually helps keep the meat soft, as does the sake. The ginger, for me, is in there for flavor. Once that's already come to a boil, you make sure that everything is dissolved. We then turn the heat completely off. You can get like a ginger steam facial and again a close-up of me, hello, and my titties. So we usually leave it there for about a minute because we don't want super hot boiling water that's rolling. We want to add a little bit of that sake and sugar to the water. All of this is not to flavor the meat, but to actually keep the meat soft, because nobody really likes tough meat, right? So to that, once it's been sitting there for about a minute, we start adding our pork. And all you have to do, and this is why it's called shabu-shabu, is it's an onomatopoeia. So it's a word that sounds like the thing that you're doing. So this sound, in Japan, we call shabu-shabu. You really only leave it in there for a few seconds because this meat's sliced super, super thin. Just want to leave it in there until it turns opaque. And then we transfer it to a plate. Now, old school aunties would tell you to put this in a bowl of cold water. But people have since found, not just me, things that I've read, people have found that that actually is another way for the pork to get super tough. So it's actually suggested that all you do is just put them on a regular plate, regular room temperature plate, and let it just naturally cool off. So obviously I shouldn't have layered any of that. I should leave them a little bit separated. think in the summer it's super important to keep your protein intake up, but without, you know, when it's super hot, like your appetite kind of goes down. So you still want to be able to eat decent food, high protein food, not stick to things like ice cream, although that's always really good. Having a cold dish like rei-shabu, is a great way to eat healthy without really even cooking that much in the kitchen either. You don't have, you know, once the broth has come to a boiling point, you turn it off. So then the cooking part becomes relatively sweat-free. Something else that will also help is if you take your meat out. Yes, take your meat out and put it, you know, outside from the refrigerator about half an hour or so before you start cooking, just to get the meat up to room temperature. Obviously, don't leave it out for hours and hours. And the things that you see like floating in the broth is actually just, you know, meat juices. So not like you're losing any meat by doing this. And if you think that the temperature has gotten kind of too cool again, you can always turn the heat on just until it starts bubbling again. You can just turn it right off. And that's something that you'll probably find if you're doing this with like straight out of the fridge pork. Turn that off. Some more of this out. And it's always a good idea to do this in small batches, because if you do it in one big clump, then you get one big clump. That kind of takes away the whole point of using shabu-shabu meat, which is a really thinly sliced meat, so that it cooks really quickly. I think there's a piece still there. And the last batch goes in. Now, if you want to cook this ahead of time, it's not that recommended. The point of shabu-shabu is to kind of cook it and eat it right away. But if you really like really cold rei-shabu or rei-shabu, you can put this on top of a plate of ice instead of like submerging it in ice and throwing it in the fridge for a few minutes. I am going to get all of this cleaned up, quickly show you how to put it all together for presentation, and get to watch me eat it. I'll be right back. And we're back. We have a nice little setup here. You could, if you'd like, add a bowl of miso soup and a bowl of rice if you'd like. Or like in my case, sometimes all I really want is just like a light snack, nothing really heavy, and rice is a little bit heavy. So you've got some greens. Traditionally you can use just a standard head of lettuce and just chop that up. I'm using some arugula here, and then I've got a little cube of tofu with some green onions sprinkled on top. I'm gonna put this on the prettier plate, and also because, as you can tell, there's a lot of liquid that pops up, and you don't really want to make it like sopping wet. This is such a great quick meal, something like that my mom would make when she was tired of us going, "Mom, we're hungry," when we come back from school, or like for a Saturday little snack. So let me put this down. And then in terms of sauces, let me set this down here. Basically, you use the same kind of sauces as you would at a traditional shabu-shabu restaurant. You're just eating this cold, you know, or room temperature. So there's regular shabu, shabu, which is ponzu sauce, for more like a citrusy soy kind of sauce. And then this one is goma, which is ground sesame. So it's a sesame sauce. It's not citrusy at all. It's a little bit heavier. It goes great with pork. So I usually just put a little sesame sauce, goma dare, there. And then I do a little ponzu with some more of the cut up green onions, just so I have a little bit of a crunchy flavor. And that's it. That's today's lunch. I'm going to have a little bit of this yummy, yummy rei-shabu. I usually like it with goma, with the sesame, so. Oh, that's so good. What a great way to get some protein in when it's 102 degrees outside, right? Because the meat is so thinly sliced and so quickly cooked in that sake, sugar, and knob of ginger broth, the meat is super, super soft. Very, very easy to digest. And I have some here with the ponzu and green onion. Perfect for a summer day. Got the greens there if you want to put the rest of the sauce on there later as a salad. You can actually eat them both together if you want. I know today was a quickie meal, but it's really, really, really good. So put a little soy sauce on the tofu later too, and have that. What else is going on? Today is my 5th year anniversary of being cancer-free. 5 years in, I'm finally feeling like pretty decent without worrying too much about what medication am I taking today, is the dosage right, blah, blah, blah. Oh no, more blood tests, that kind of stuff. So 5-year mark is a really good, a really good mile marker.